At the moment we were to exchange our vows, Liam Davenport suddenly let go of my hand, turned toward the guests, and said, "Brooke, please, come up here." The ballroom plunged into Chenma. I, in my custom Vera Wang wedding dress, stood, motionless under the spotlights, watching his first love, Brooke Rivers, walk up the aisle to the altar with red-rimmed eyes. An instant later, Liam took the ring that was supposed to slide onto my finger and placed it on Brooke's ring finger, looking at me with a mocking smile. "Since you can't be reasonable, then I'll marry Brooke." I heard someone in the Brooke audience audibly gasp. The officiant, microphone in hand, was as pale as a sheet. Mrs. Eleanor Davenport, sitting in the front row, furrowed her brows not at the blanks absurdity of Liam's gesture, but because I hadn't immediately lowered my head in sign of submission. Brooke, standing next to Liam, had tears suspended on her lashes. Her voice was so frail it seemed like it might break at any moment. "Liam, don't do this. Today is the wedding between you and Claire." As she said this, however, she didn't withdraw her hand. The ring was firmly on her finger. The 3-carat diamond sparkling under the lights was blinding. I had designed that ring myself. Inside, my initials CS were engraved. I had drawn 7 drafts, spent 3 sleepless nights perfecting the proportions. Liam had told me that the Davenport family was going through a period of financial difficulty and that the wedding expenses were excessive, asking me to advance the final balance. I had done it. I believed that was our wedding ring, and now he was putting it on Brooke's finger. I looked at Liam and asked, "Repeat that." There was anger in Liam's eyes, but also a sort of certainty. He was certain I wouldn't dare make a scene. Certain I wouldn't throw away 2 years of a relationship. Certain that, as on countless past occasions, I would be the first to take a step back. He lowered his voice. "Claire, there are so many important guests today. Don't embarrass me." I managed a smile. "I'm the one embarrassing you?" Subdued whispers rose from the audience. Liam's face darkened. "Brooke isn't well today. She just wanted to see me married with her own eyes. You insisted on having her removed. You don't have an ounce of tolerance." I stared at Brooke. Half an hour earlier, in the bridal suite, she had told me, "Claire, I have no other intentions. I just want to see Liam happy." After speaking, she had touched the old Cartier bracelet on her wrist, a gift from Liam back in their college days. When I asked the staff to escort her to a table for regular guests, her eyes had turned red. Liam had stormed in, accusing me in the front of the bridesmaids and the makeup artist. "Why do you always have to target her? Today is my wedding," I had replied. "She's wearing a white dress, sitting at the head table, and you had to go fetch her personally." Who is targeting whom? Liam hadn't answered. He just slammed the door and left. I didn't expect he would stab me in the back during the vows. I reached up and removed the white rose brooch from my chest. The pin scratched my finger, a slight sting. I threw the flower onto the altar. "Liam, if you want to marry her, fine. But first, refund all the money that my family, the Sterlings, spent on this wedding." Liam looked aghast. Mrs. Davenport shot up from her seat. "Claire, what nonsense are you speaking? We are 2 families uniting. Talking about money is in poor taste." I looked at her. "When you accepted the vintage Tiffany silver service from my mother's dowry, it didn't seem in poor taste to you. When you asked me to advance the deposit for the Hamptons estate, it didn't seem in poor taste to you." Now that your son is putting my ring on another woman's finger. Suddenly, you know what poor taste is. The room exploded into a murmur. Mrs. Davenport's face changed color. What a rude girl. You don't have an ounce of respect. I ignored her. I took the microphone from the officiant's hands, who didn't dare stop me. I opened my phone and showed the spreadsheet of wedding expenses, casting it onto a nearby screen, meant for the reception slideshow. Deposit for the estate reception hall. $35,000. Paid by me. Floral design and wedding planner. $55,000. Paid by me. Wedding dress and ceremony attire. $15,000. Paid by me. Final balance on the wedding ring. $45,000. Always paid by me. With every figure I read, Liam's face grew darker. Brooke lowered her head, trying to slide the ring off. I blocked her hand. Don't take it off. She flinched. I smiled at her. Since you put it on, keep it on tight. My legal team will contact you to clarify if this ring is a gift or misappropriation of property. Brooke's tears started falling immediately. Claire, how can you say such a thing? I really didn't know you had bought the ring. I interrupted her. You didn't know? Hadn't you just said the size was perfect? As if it were destiny? She paled, because she had whispered that phrase into Liam's ear after coming up to the altar. But the ceremony microphones were on, and the entire hall had heard her. Liam stepped in front of her to protect her. That's enough. I looked up at him. You just had to make this mess today, didn't you? He hissed through gritted teeth. You're the one who put the ring on the wrong person, I replied. He laughed coldly. Claire Sterling, don't regret this. Today you won't be able to save face, and the Sterling family will also be humiliated. I looked toward the audience. My parents were sitting in the second row. My mother had red eyes but didn't try to stop me. My father was gripping his cane, hard, his face livid. In that moment, every hesitation of mine vanished. I ripped the veil from my head. The pearl hairpins tangled in my hair. I felt a sharp pain on my scalp, but I didn't stop. The long veil fell into my hands. Everyone thought I would throw it on the ground. Instead, holding it in my hand, I walked down the altar steps, one by one. At the end of the aisle, runner sat a man in a black suit, Ford Davenport, Liam's uncle. 35 years old, former Marine Corps officer, always estranged from the Davenport family business. He sat with his back straight, as a blade resting in its scabbard. Since Liam had called Brooke to the altar, he hadn't smiled. Once, I approached him. All the camera lenses followed me. I heard Liam shouting, furiously behind my back. Claire Sterling, what do you think you're doing? I didn't turn around. I held out the veil to Ford. My voice wasn't loud, but sufficient to be heard by the nearest tables. Uncle Ford, do you have the guts to marry me? Deathly silence. Even the string quartet stopped playing. Mrs. Davenport screamed. Claire, have you gone mad? Liam rushed down from the altar. How dare you? Finally, I turned to look at him. Didn't you just say that? Since I'm not reasonable, you would marry Brooke? Now, I'm the one being unreasonable. For once. I slightly lifted the veil I held in my hand. Brooke is still on the altar with my ring on her finger. For the first time, she didn't have that fragile air anymore. She was in a panic. Ford looked up at me. His eyes were deep, as if wanting to ensure I wasn't acting on impulse. I am perfectly lucid, I said. He remained silent for 2 seconds, then stood up. He was taller than Liam, with broader shoulders. The moment he stood, the guests around him instinctively drew back to make space for him. He took my veil without smiling, without taking advantage of the situation to play a part. He asked me only one thing. "Are you sure?" "I am sure," I replied. Liam rushed over to grab me. Ford stepped in front of me. He didn't touch him. He just looked at him coldly. "We are at a wedding. Don't touch her." Liam was red with rage. "Uncle, she's my fiancée." Ford looked toward the altar. "Your fiancée? Who is wearing the ring on her finger?" Liam was left speechless. Finally, the room exploded. Someone was taking photos with their cell phone. Others were discussing in low voices. I heard my maid of honor crying and Davenport relatives insulting me for my brazenness. I didn't. Got it. I pulled a spare ring from my purse, a simple band I had designed for myself to wear every day at work. After the wedding, I handed it to Ford. It doesn't matter if there's no ceremony. It doesn't matter if there are no blessings. I just ask you, will you be my legal witness to help me end this farce? Ford took the ring. I will. With those 2 words, Liam's face became a wax mask. He seemed to have finally understood that I wasn't joking. I held out my hand. Ford slid that simple ring onto my ring finger. No moving. Vows. No passionate kiss. Just a public choice after a betrayal. I turned toward all the guests. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. Today's wedding is canceled. The gifts will be entirely returned by the Sterling family. For all sums collected by the Davenport family, I will ask my legal team to do a precise accounting. Mrs. Davenport rushed toward me, raising her hand to strike me. Ford caught her wrist. Sister-in-law, the situation is embarrassing enough already. Mrs. Davenport trembled with rage. And you, Ford? You're playing her game? Ford released his grip. I'm not the one who is playing games. I lifted the hem of my wedding dress and headed toward the exit. Behind me, Liam finally chased after me. Claire Sterling, if you walk out that door today, I don't think about coming back begging to me. I stopped, turned to look at him. He was still there, under the lights, with the bright groom's boutonniere pinned to his chest, and beside him, Brooke wearing my ring. Suddenly, I felt that those last 2 years had been a long dream, and now the dream was over. Liam, I said, I hope that on the day you are the one begging, your tears won't be too bitter. Having said that, I turned and left. The doors of the estate venue opened, letting in a gust of wind. The laughter, insults, and shouts of surprise behind Astrid B. Poit me were gradually sealed off by the closing doors. Ford walked beside me, holding the folded veil over his arm. He didn't ask if I regretted it. Only when we got into his car did he say, I had a backup copy, made of the wedding recordings. I looked up. His face was calm. From the moment he had Brooke come up, everything was recorded. I clenched my fists. The car pulled away. I saw Liam at the entrance of the estate, for the first time with an expression of panic on his face. In the hotel suite I had booked for getting ready, sitting on the sofa, I took off my wedding shoes. My heel was raw. Blood stained the white satin. On the croupe's altar, I hadn't felt any pain. Now, in the silence, the pain began to make itself felt slowly. Ford placed a first aid kit in front of me. Disinfect the wound first. I looked at him. He didn't get close. He just pushed the kit toward me. His way of keeping his distance almost made me smile. Liam, in 2 years together, had never noticed if my shoes hurt me or not. He would only say, "Today, the occasion is important. Bear it a little." I took the antiseptic and started cleaning the wound myself. When the cotton touched the raw skin, I flinched. Ford furrowed his brows but didn't intervene. He just handed me a tissue. "If it hurts, you don't have to bear it. I'm used to bearing it," I said softly. "Then it's time to change," he replied. From the hallway came hurried footsteps. A moment later, the door was thrown open. Liam burst into the room, followed by his mother and some Davenport relatives. Brooke was there too. She had already taken off the ring and held it in her palm, eyes red as if she had suffered the greatest injustice. "Claire, forgive me. It wasn't my intention." I looked up. "If you were really sorry, you wouldn't have let Liam hold your hand." Her face stiffened. Liam stepped in front of her. "Claire, don't take your anger out on Brooke. Her health is delicate. She can't handle shocks." I threw the cotton into the trash bin. "So you dumped the shock on me?" Liam was speechless. Mrs. Davenport intervened immediately. "Claire, today Liam acted on impulse, but you exaggerated too. Saying those things about the Fang's finances in front of everyone was like slapping the Davenport family in public." I smiled. "Mrs. Davenport, I just listed facts. If you don't think having debts is shameful, you can return the money right now." Her face went from white to red. In the last 2 years, the Davenport family had liquidity problems. On the surface, they seemed prosperous, but in reality, they were plugging holes here and there. At the time of the engagement, Mrs. Davenport had hinted that my family could lend a hand. My father, for the sake of our marriage, had granted a loan of $400,000 without excessive formalities, just a private promissory note. Later, the Davenports had kept postponing the payment of the wedding expenses. I wasn't stupid, but I thought that since we were about to become a family, it wasn't necessary to be so nitpicky, but it was clear they didn't think the same way. They had mistaken my tolerance for an acquired right. Mrs. Davenport, repressing her rage, said, "The money will be returned, but not now. Now you go out and fix things. Tell the guests it was just a misunderstanding." I looked at her. "What misunderstanding?" Mrs. Davenport gritted her teeth. "Say that you and Liam had a little spat." Brooke was a bridesmaid. She went up to the altar just to offer well wishes. I looked at Brooke. She was a bridesmaid? Brooke lowered her head in silence. I took my phone and opened the guest list app. Her name wasn't on the list of bridesmaids, and not even at the head table. She had been added at the last minute by Liam to the table of his college friends. I looked up. "Mrs. Davenport, before telling lies, at least get your stories straight." Mrs. Davenport almost fainted from rage. Liam, with an impassive face, said, "Claire, what exactly do you want to do?" "Cancel the wedding," I replied. "Impossible," he said. "It seems absurd to me." "You just married Brooke," I replied. "Those were just words dictated by anger," he defended himself, frowning. "And you put the ring on her out of anger? And held her hand out of anger? And called her to the altar out of anger?" I pressed him. Liam remained speechless. Brooke burst into tears. "It's all my fault, Liam. Don't fight with Claire because of me. I'll go. I'll leave right now." She turned to leave. Liam stopped her immediately. "Your health is fragile. Don't go running around." Watching that scene, the pain suddenly vanished. It's true, when the heart dies, many sufferings become insignificant. Ford had remained near the window the whole time, silent. Liam finally turned, his rage toward him. "Uncle, what does all this mean today? She makes a scene, and you go along with her? Don't you know she's my fiancé?" Ford looked at him. "I know that a little while ago, in front of everyone, you repudiated her." "I was just," Liam interrupted him. "What? You were teaching her a lesson? Humiliating her? Or were you forcing her to accept your ambiguous relationship with Brooke?" Liam's face became grim. Mrs. Davenport screamed. "Ford, these are family matters." "My last name is Davenport, too," Ford replied calmly. Mrs. Davenport was left speechless. Ford was a particular figure in the family. Old Mr. Davenport had remarried late in life, and Ford was the youngest son, only 9 years older than Liam. He had enlisted at 18. At 27, he had received a medal for valor and then was discharged due to an injury. Family considered him cold, unsociable, and uninterested in the company. Business. But the patriarch, before dying, trusted him blindly. Half of the family estate in Greenwich was listed in Ford's name, which was why Mrs. Davenport feared him. Liam sneered. "Uncle, you don't really want to marry her? Have you forgotten? Grandfather's rules? An uncle marrying his nephew's fiancée, where would the Davenport family honor go?" I stood up. "When you put my ring on your ex's finger, where was the Davenport family honor?" Liam snapped his gaze to me. "I took the wedding ring box and put it in my purse. This ring will be delivered to my legal team. Brooke wore it, and there are video recordings. How to proceed legally will depend on the law." Brooke went white. "Claire, I already gave it back to you. You returned an object, not my dignity." Her tears stopped. I took the ceremony program from the table. "And I'm asking the venue for a copy of all original video recordings from today." Liam said immediately. "Who dares give them to her?" The venue director, who was standing awkwardly in the doorway, looked at me. "Director," I said, "I signed the contract. I paid the balance. The delivery of the recordings is designated to Claire Sterling. If you deliver them to anyone else, I will hold you liable for breach of contract." The director nodded immediately. "Miss Sterling, we are already preparing it. Copy." Liam's face finally changed. He approached, lowering his voice. "Claire, do you really have to take things this far?" I looked at him. "Liam, you're the one who started it." He stared at me. Then suddenly he softened his tone. "Today I was wrong. But you know the history between Brooke and me. She just came back to the States. She has no family here. I just wanted to give her some comfort. Using my wedding to give her comfort?" He remained silent. "If I had endured, today," I continued, "tomorrow she would move into our house. The day after, tomorrow she would use our bedroom. And in the future, I would have to compensate for every regret of yours at my expense." Liam's gaze wavered. That silence gave me the answer. Mrs. Davenport tried to mediate. "Claire, a married woman must be magnanimous. Men, in their youth, always have someone they can't forget. But the person they build a life with is you. I don't build a life with a man who has another woman in his heart," I said. "You." Mrs. Davenport was about to insult me when Ford spoke. "Sister-in-law, the Sterlings have arrived." At the door were my parents. My mother, seeing my disheveled wedding dress, immediately burst into tears. My father didn't say a word. He approached and put his suit jacket over my shoulders. Mrs. Davenport changed her expression immediately. "In-laws, you arrived just in time. These children are young and impulsive. They made a scene." My father raised a hand. Let's not call each other in-laws. Mrs. Davenport froze. My father looked at Liam. I will remember the humiliation the Davenport family inflicted on my daughter today. Liam's face became white. Mr. Sterling, my father didn't let him finish. He turned to me. Claire, let's go home. As I headed towards the door, Ford handed me the veil. I didn't take it. You, keep it for now. It's dirty, but I don't want to throw it away. I'll need it. When we settle accounts, a glint of an almost imperceptible smile passed through Ford's eyes. Agreed, Liam shouted behind me. Claire Sterling, if you leave with him today, you burn. Every chance of coming back. I stopped without turning around. From the moment you put the ring on Brooke's finger, there was no chance of coming back. My father put his arm around my shoulders and escorted me out. In the hotel lobby, the guests hadn't left yet. Everyone was looking at me. I didn't cover my face, didn't lower my head, wearing my wedding dress, with a bandage on my heel. I walked down that red carpet step by step. At the end, there wasn't the groom, but the door. When I opened the door, my phone vibrated. A message from the venue director. Miss Sterling, a full backup of the wedding video has been executed. I replied, with 2 words. Save everything. The next morning at 9 a.m., I wore a long black dress and went to City Hall, not to marry Liam, but Ford. I know it might sound like madness, but I had never been so lucid in my life. The night before, Liam had called me 37 times. I didn't answer the Prubal 3, verse 10. Then he started texting me. Claire, stop throwing tantrums. I will. It's compensate you for what happened at the wedding. Brooke is just sick. Why? Can't you understand? My mother hasn't slept all night from anger. Are you happy now? The last message was at 3:00 the morning. Do you really think Uncle Ford will marry you? He's just laughing at our family. I took screenshots of all the messages, saved them, and then blocked him. At 8:30 a.m., Ford came to pick me up downstairs. He didn't rush me. When I went down, he was leaning against the car, wearing a dark gray shirt with perfectly buttoned cuffs. My parents were watching me from the living room window. My mother had cried for a long time the night before. She asked me, Claire, are you doing this out of spite against Liam? No, I replied. Then, do you like Ford? I remained silent for a moment. I respect him, and I trust that he won't throw me to the wolves to humiliate me. My mother's eyes filled with tears again. Marriage isn't out of spite. I squeezed her hand. Mom, before I was betting that Liam would change, that his family would accept me, that my patience would be repaid. I smiled. Now I've stopped betting. My father hadn't said a word. Only when I was about to leave did he hand me an 18-old folder. These are the documents for the loan. The Davenports asked the Sterlings for 3 years ago. You said not to make it an issue, so I kept them. Aside, I took it. Inside were the promissory note, proof of wire transfer, and a promise to pay, signed by Liam's father. I felt a lump in my throat. My parents weren't in the dark. They had just respected my choice. I put the documents in my purse, in front of the city clerk's office. There weren't many people. Ford handed me a bottle of water. You're still in time to change your mind. I looked at the seal above the door. And you? Do you regret it? Before making a decision, I think it through well, he replied. Then why did you accept? Ford remained silent for a few seconds. Because yesterday, when you asked me, you weren't looking for help. I looked at him. You were creating a way out for yourself, he continued. My job was just to ensure that Way Out didn't turn into a farce. My fingers tightened slightly. That sentence, more than any declaration of love, gave me a sense of security. We entered, filled out the forms, took the photos, signed. The clerk, looking at our IDs, seemed a bit surprised. After all, yesterday, clips of the wedding had already circulated on the internet. Someone had filmed me handing the veil to Ford. The headlines were sharper than the next. Scandal at the Hampton. Wedding. Bride swaps husband at the altar and marries groom's uncle. High. Society wedding turns into a battlefield. The first flame gets the ring. The bride takes revenge by asking for the ex-military uncle's hand. The clerk couldn't help but glance at me. I signed calmly. When the pen traced the last line, my phone rang again. Unknown number. I answered. It was Liam's voice, loaded with repressed rage. "Where are you?" "City Hall," I replied. On the other end, a sudden silence fell. A few seconds later, he laughed coldly. "You really like playing this comedy with the uncle, huh?" I didn't say anything. His voice rose. "Claire Sterling, don't force me. If you come back now, I can. Pretend yesterday never happened. We'll redo the wedding. I'll buy a new ring. As for Brooke, I'll find a way to explain." "Explain what?" I asked. "Why you put the ring on her, or why you said you would. Marry her?" Those were just words dictated by anger. Well, my marriage today isn't dictated by anger either. On the other side of the phone, a loud noise was heard, as if he had slammed something. "Claire Sterling, you." The clerk handed us 2 marriage certificates. I took one and opened it. In the photo, Ford and I were sitting composed. We didn't look like a pair of lovers, but 2 allies who had just signed a pact amid ruins. Yet, my heart had never been so stable. "Liam, I am married." His breath stopped short. A long silence followed. I hung up. Ford looked at me. "He still believes you'll come back." I nodded. Ford put away the marriage certificates. "Then he'll have to. Understand it slowly." We left City Hall. The sun was blinding. As soon as I got in the car, my phone started filling with notifications. It was a screenshot of an Instagram post by Brooke. She had posted a photo of the ring with the caption, "Some things missed are eventually returned by fate." The ring was exactly the one Liam had put on her finger the day before. Clearly, she didn't know I had already recovered it. The photo she had posted was taken by someone else at the wedding. In the image, Liam was sliding the ring onto her with a tender expression, while I, next to them, looked like an intruder. In the comments, some congratulated, others threw jabs. A college friend of Proof, Liam's, had written, "Whatever happens, you two are always the perfect couple." I looked at the screenshot for a few seconds, saved it. "Need me to handle it?" Ford asked. "Not yet," I replied. Shortly after, Liam called again from another number. I answered. His voice was colder than before. "Claire, put Uncle on the phone." I put it on speaker. Ford looked at the phone without saying anything. Liam gritted his teeth. "Ford, did you really marry her?" "Yes," said Ford. Liam seemed to have received a slap. "Don't you know she's my woman?" Ford's tone was neutral. "Legally, not anymore." He didn't give him time to rant. "Liam, yesterday you publicly chose Brooke. An adult must take responsibility for their own choices." On the other end, Liam laughed suddenly. "Responsibility? Do you think Claire is really in love with you? She's just using you to provoke me, Uncle. You've never married. Don't let yourself be used by a woman in the end." I gripped the phone. I was about to answer, but Ford beat me to it. These are matters between her and me. His voice wasn't loud, but it had a tone that admitted no replies. They don't concern you. Liam fell completely silent. I hung up. The car was quiet. After a while, I said, "Sorry for dragging you into this situation." Ford started the engine. I entered it the moment I accepted the veil. As he drove toward my parents' house, I received a call from my lawyer. "Miss Sterling, I have reviewed the documents you sent me last night. The wedding, expenses, the repayment of the loan to the Davenports, and damages to reputation can all be formalized in legal action. See you this afternoon." "Yes," I said. The lawyer asked, "Must we attempt mediation with the Davenports first?" I watched the trees speed past outside the window. "No mediation. Send the cease and desist letter directly." In the afternoon, I returned to the Sterling estate with the marriage certificate. My mother looked at it for a long time, then sighed. "Since you, married, try to get along. But remember, Claire, in any marriage, never humiliate yourself again." I nodded. Ford, in the doorway, said solemnly to my parents, "Mr. and Mrs. Sterling, the marriage between Claire and me started precipitously, but it is not a game. I won't ask you to trust me immediately, nor will I interfere with how she handles the matter with Liam." My father looked at him for a long time. "You better remember that." Ford nodded. In the evening, the Davenports sent an invitation. It wasn't an apology. Old Mrs. Davenport invited me to dinner at the family estate the following evening. The invitation read, "To clarify family matters in person." I looked at that line and smiled. Finally, the Davenports were in a hurry. I didn't go to the estate immediately. The following morning, I went first to my design studio in Chelsea. After the Porton-Jacom wedding, the entrance was besieged by journalists and onlookers. Someone filmed me with their cell phone. "Miss Sterling, is it true that you married your ex-fiancé's uncle? Did you already have a relationship with Ford Davenport? Liam and Brooke are true. Love." I stopped. My assistant, young Tara, was pale with fear. I, instead, turned toward the cameras. "First, yesterday I did indeed get married." The crowd stirred. "Second, prior to the wedding, there was never any inappropriate relationship between Mr. Ford Davenport and me." I paused. "Third, the fact that Mr. Liam Davenport during the ceremony placed my wedding ring on Miss Brooke Rivers' finger is documented by video. I will proceed legally." The journalists wanted to ask other questions, but I entered the studio and closed the door. As soon as the door closed, Tara put a hand to her chest. "Claire, I almost had a heart attack." I set down my bag. "What are you afraid of? We aren't the ones who did wrong." The studio was in turmoil. After the live stream of the wedding, someone had found my brand's account online. There were those calling me crazy, those saying I clung to the uncle to get revenge on the ex, and questioning if that ring was really my creation. I turned on the computer and pulled up the sketches of the ring. 7 hand-drawn versions, 3 prototypes, payment receipts, the GIA diamond, certificate, the confirmation email for the interior engraving. The proof was irrefutable. Tara, after seeing everything, was red with anger. "You designed this ring for yourself. How do they have the nerve to use it for their true love? Performance?" "Exactly," I said. "That's why everyone needs to see the truth." At noon, I published a statement on the studio's account. No complaints. No whining. Just 4 images. The first, The sketch of the ring, dated 6 months prior. The second, the payment receipt made out to Claire Sterling. The third, the confirmation form for engraving with the initials CS. The fourth, a screenshot of the wedding video with Liam putting the ring on Brooke's finger. The caption was a single sentence. My design, my payment, my wedding, used by them to celebrate an old love. All rights have been entrusted to my legal team. Less than 10 minutes after publishing, the comments exploded. So, the ring of destiny that Brooke posted was bought by the bride herself? How disgusting. Liam Davenport's behavior is. The first love story doesn't justify the theft of a wedding ring. That's why the bride reacted like that. Anyone in her place would have made a scene. Even the screenshot of Brooke's post was dug up. Her sentence, "Some things, missed or eventually returned by fate," became an object of mockery. In the afternoon, at the law firm, the lawyer handed me the prepared documents. "Miss Sterling, we can proceed on 3 fronts. First, the recovery of wedding expenses. Most contracts are in your name. If the Davenport family utilized the services but refuses to pay the agreed share, we can demand restitution. Second, the rights to the ring, design, purchase, and customization are all in your name. The public display by Miss Rivers, with the insinuation that it belonged to her, constitutes potential illicit act. Third, damages to reputation. If Liam Davenport or his family continue to spread rumors about an alleged relationship between you and Mr. Ford Davenport before the wedding, we can send a cease and desist immediately. Send the cease and desist. For everything. Throughout it all, Ford, sitting next to me, hadn't said a word. The lawyer turned to him. Mr. Davenport, do you wish to release a separate statement? Yes, said Ford. He took a document. This is a record I prepared last night of all public contacts between Miss Claire Sterling and me before the wedding. Includes the engagement luncheon, the Davenport Company anniversary, family, dinners, no private meetings, no exchange of money, no ambiguous communication. I was surprised. They will try to throw mud on you. I felt a slight squeeze in my heart. He was right. That same evening, a friend of Liam's published a post online saying that Ford and I had been exchanging glances for some time, and that the wedding day was just an excuse to enact a plan. He said Liam had only been considerate toward an éclipse, old love, and that the real traitor was me. Less than half an hour after the post's publication, the lawyer's cease and desist arrived. The studio's account simultaneously published Ford's documents. The timeline was crystal clear. All our contacts in the last 2 years had occurred at public Davenport family occasions. Conversely, users dug up several compromising photos of Liam and Brooke. Him picking her up at JFK Airport, accompanying her to the hospital, entering the prosent same apartment building late at night. And the night before the wedding, Liam's car had remained parked beneath Brooke's apartment for 2 hours. With the Sperry P. release of these photos, public opinion flipped completely. Finally, Liam sent me a message. This time not to insult me. Claire, let's talk. I looked at it and didn't reply. Another message. What is happening online is damaging the company. I smiled. So if it hadn't damaged him and Brooke, he wouldn't have stooped so low. It's because it was damaging Davenport Incorporated. At 7 p.m., Brooke called me. I didn't answer. She sent me a voice message. Claire, I really didn't want to take anything away from you. I was just too sad. In that moment, Liam, seeing me cry, acted on impulse. Could you please remove the statement? I'm receiving so many insults, I can't take it anymore. I listened to the message, converted it to text, and saved it. Tara, beside me, burst out laughing from anger. Why doesn't she say it was she who couldn't slide the ring off? It's not that she doesn't know she did wrong, I said. It's that she didn't expect to lose. As soon as I finished the sentence, we heard knocking at the door. I thought it was a client. Tara went to open it but froze in the doorway. It was Liam. He was wearing the same suit from the wedding, tie loosened, eyes circled in red. In his hand he held a bouquet of white roses. I looked at that bouquet. At the wedding, I had thrown the white rose I wore on my chest onto the altar. Now he brought me white roses again, as if wanting to erase what happened. He entered. His voice was low and hoarse. Claire, I was wrong. It was the first time in 2 years I heard him pronounce those 3 words. But in my heart, I felt nothing. What were you wrong about? I asked. He froze. To that question, he didn't know how to answer because he didn't think he was wrong to call his ex to the altar, nor to put the ring on her. I thought it had been a mistake to let the situation escalate. After a few seconds of silence, he said, I shouldn't have embarrassed you at the wedding. I nodded. And then he frowned. I shouldn't have said on impulse that I would marry Brooke. And then he seemed annoyed. Claire, I already apologized to you. What else are you want? I looked at him. You see, you're not here to apologize. You're here to make me stop. His face darkened. The situation online is already a disaster. Are you not satisfied? Brooke almost had a breakdown today. She already suffered from depression, you know. Brooke. Suddenly I felt tired. Liam, since you entered, have you asked me even once if I was suffering? He was flabbergasted. I lifted my foot. The bandage was still on my heel. Yesterday, my wedding shoes rawed my skin. With those shoes, I remained standing on an altar, watching you put a ring on another woman. He looked at the wound, and for an instant, his eyes showed finally a glimmer of panic. I didn't know. Of course you didn't know. I pushed a copy of the legal cease and desist toward him. You only know that Brooke knows how to cry. Liam stared at the document. You really want to sue me? I don't want to. I corrected him. I already have. He snapped his head up. Claire, our families have known each other for so many years. Must you really be so ruthless? I smiled. Yesterday when you put the ring on Brooke, did you think about the friendship between our families? He remained speechless. At that moment, his phone rang. Mrs. Davenport's voice came out of the speakerphone, so shrill I heard it too. Liam, come back immediately. Your grandmother found out that Claire wants the money back and felt ill. She broke a Prussian teacup. And your father says the bank is soliciting payment again. Liam's face changed drastically. I watched him in silence. The facade of Davenport respectability was finally showing the first crack. He hung up. His voice softened. Claire, tomorrow night come back to the estate. Whatever it is, we'll talk about it as a family behind closed doors. You and I are not family, I said. He clenched his fists. And with Uncle, you are? I looked at him and said, articulating every word. Legally? Yes. His face became deathly white. I had crossed the threshold of the Davenport estate many times. In the past, every time I brought gifts. For old Mrs. Davenport, her favorite artisanal white tea. For Liam's mother, La Mer skincare products. For his father, hard to find, imported antacids. I thought small gestures could create a bond. Only later did. I understand it wasn't that they didn't appreciate my thoughtfulness. They simply took for granted that it was my duty. This time I entered empty-handed, with Ford at my side. Liam's mother, seeing us enter together, almost couldn't maintain her smile. "Claire, you really brought him? You invited me," I said, but didn't specify I couldn't bring a family member. Mrs. Davenport's face contracted. Ford added calmly, "I am her husband." The living room plunged into silence. Old Mrs. Davenport, sitting in the main armchair, banged her cane heavily on the floor. Absurd. I looked at her. She was over 70. Silver hair gathered impeccably. But her gaze was turbid. In the past, she had been lukewarm with me. She called me Claire when she accepted a gift. Dear girl, when the Sterling family had to help them out. And if I argued with Liam, she said, a woman must not be too stubborn. Peace in the family is the most important thing. Today, she didn't even bother pretending anymore. Claire Sterling. What happened at the wedding is Liam's fault. But you turning around and marrying his uncle, you have trampled on the honor of the Davenport family. I sat down. Grandmother, I didn't trample on the Davenport family honor. Liam threw it away himself. Liam was seated opposite, gaze sullen. Brooke was there too, wearing a subdued, colored dress with gauze wrapped around her wrist, like a little white flower, beaten by the storm. I glanced at it, a cut so superficial it wouldn't even require a hospital visit. Liam, noticing my gaze, said immediately in an icy tone, "Don't provoke Brooke." I looked away. "Don't worry. I have no intention of taking advantage of an SB-12 injured person." Brooke's face paled. Mrs. Davenport snapped. "How did you become so acid? Not as much as your son's actions," I replied. The mother was about to stand up, but the father held her back. Mr. Davenport was more pragmatic. Today, he wanted to talk about money. In fact, before tea was even served, he pushed a teacup toward me. "Claire, this situation is good for no one. You and Liam weren't destined. We won't insist, but retract the online statement. As regarding the loan and wedding expenses, we will repay you a little at a time." A little at a time? How much? I asked. Mr. Davenport hesitated. 3 years. I smiled. The loan of $400,000 expired 3 years ago. The wedding expenses amount to over $150,000. And you ask me for another 3 years? Mr. Davenport, do you take me for a bank or an idiot? The father's face hardened. The old lady intervened coldly. The Sterling family certainly doesn't need this money. A girl so penny-pinching, who will ever want to be with you? Ford put down his teacup. His voice was calm. I do. The living room plunged into silence again. The grandmother glared at him. You, shut up. You're an adult, and you're playing along with a little girl's game. Aren't you ashamed enough? Ford looked up. I am 35. I am not married. Claire is 27. She is not married. We registered legally. We didn't steal or betray. The real shame is someone who on the day of their own wedding calls their ex to the altar to put the bride's ring on her. Liam stood up abruptly. Uncle! Ford looked at him. Sit down. Just 2 words. And Liam incredibly froze. It was the authority derived from years in the Marines. Not a shout, but something that imposed instinctive obedience. I didn't let Ford continue. That was my battle. I pulled a folder from my bag and placed documents on the table, one by one. First, the loan of $400,000 from the Sterling family to the Davenports. The promissory note is here. Expiry 1 year, with default interest equal to current bank rates. Second, after the engagement, Liam asked me for a personal loan of $80,000 for a project. The wire transfer memo is very clear. Third, wedding. Expenses I advanced for a total of $150,600. Contracts, invoices, payment, receipts, it's all here. Fourth, the wedding ring, $45,000, is my personal property. Miss Brooke Rivers wore it without permission and publicly insinuated it belonged to her. My legal team will handle this separately. With every sentence I pronounced, the faces at the table became darker. Brooke kept her head low. Tears had started falling again. I really didn't know. The ring was Claire's. I looked at her. You didn't know the ring was mine, but you knew Liam was my fiancé, right? Her breath stopped. You knew that the evening before the wedding he came to your house? Continued. You knew that the day of the wedding he came to pick you up, personally? You knew that you were wearing a white dress sitting at the table of his college friends? And you knew that when he called you to the altar you should have refused? Brooke shook her head, crying. I was too confused. You weren't confused, I said. You were enjoying it. Her face became completely white. Liam shouted, Claire, enough. Did you push her to cut her veins? I pulled a photo out of my bag. It was a screenshot from a secondary Instagram account of Brooke's. Yesterday night at 2 a.m., she posted a photo of her, bandaged wrist with the caption, Even pain is okay. At least someone will worry about me. The geotag was Liam's apartment. I pushed the photo toward him. After cutting her veins, instead of going to the hospital, she came to your ITAME apartment to take a photo to post on social media. Liam, do you really think she wanted to die? Brooke raised her head sharply. She didn't expect I had seen that account. Actually, neither did I. Tara had sent it to me. Brooke had used that account to follow the studio, probably forgetting to block us. Liam looked at the photo. His expression wavered for the first time. Brooke immediately grabbed his sleeve. Liam, I was just too scared. I was afraid you would abandon me. Liam softened again. It was always like this. Just a cry from Brooke, and every logic vanished. The mother took the opportunity. Claire, Brooke made a mistake. But she's also an unfortunate girl. Years ago, she left Liam because her family went bankrupt and she had to go abroad. Why must you pursue her so relentlessly? I looked at that room full of people. Every choice of Brooke's they justified as misfortune. Every wound of mine they called persecution. I took the last document. Since today is a family meeting, I'll give you a gift, too. Liam's father looked at me suspiciously. What? He opened the document. Last month, Davenport Incorporated submitted a partnership proposal to Sterling Holdings. I was the project manager. I officially abstained and advised Sterling Holdings to suspend evaluation. Liam's father's face changed drastically. What are you saying? The Davenport family was short on cash. Their greatest desire was to hook onto the new Sterling project. That was why they had never dared to antagonize me completely. But they didn't expect I would actually put on the brakes. Collaboration is collaboration. Marriage is marriage, I said, before I confused them. It was my stupidity. It won't happen again. Liam's mother shrieked. Claire Sterling, this is a personal vendetta. I smiled. You're mistaken. In business, this is called clarity. Liam's father turned to Ford. Ford! You say nothing? Ford said calmly. I don't interfere in her business decisions. The old lady trembled with rage. Good, very good, Claire Sterling. If you walk out this door today, don't think about setting foot in this house again. I stood up. I had no intention of doing so anyway. Liam finally couldn't take it anymore. Claire, don't do this. Business isn't a game. If you're angry, take it out on me. I looked at him. I already did. He froze. I took my bag. The cease and desist will arrive tomorrow. I want the money you owe me down to the last cent. As I was at the door, Brooke spoke suddenly. Claire Sterling, you married Ford just to get revenge on Liam, didn't you? I turned. In her eyes, finally a shred of hatred no longer hidden. I smiled. Even if it were so, it's not up to you to feel offended for him. With that, I exited the estate. The evening wind blew against me. Ford put his send jacket over my shoulders. I didn't refuse it. Behind my back, from the Davenport living room, an argument exploded. Liam ran out when I was already in the car. He tapped on the window, voice hoarse. Claire, get out. Let's talk. I lowered the window a bit. Talk about what? His eyes were red. About our 2 years together. I looked at him and felt a sudden irony. Our 2 years together we already discussed when you put the ring on Brooke's finger. The window went up. His face remained on the other side of the glass. Brooke ended up in the hospital the morning of the 3rd day. Liam called me from an unknown number. He started by accusing me. Claire Sterling, are you happy now? Brooke had a gastric hemorrhage last night. Now she's in the hospital. I was repairing an antique brooch in my studio, holding a broken pearl with tweezers. I didn't stop. For a gastric hemorrhage, you call a doctor. Not me. It was your fault, he shouted. I put down the tweezers. Liam, have you forgotten? I wasn't the one who made her go up to the altar, who put the ring on her, or who made her post on social media. On the other end, his breathing became heavy. Come to the hospital. You must apologize to her. I laughed. Are you dreaming? I hung up. Tara, who had heard everything, was stunned. Is he crazy? He's not crazy, I said. He's used to it. Used to me fixing his messes, used to me enduring for the honor of the Davenport family, used to everyone running to Brooke when she has a problem. But this time, I'm not going. Half an hour later, Mrs. Davenport called my mother. My mother put it on speaker. Mrs. Davenport's voice was shrill. In-law, not to mention, but Claire has become really ruthless. A girl like Brooke ended up in the hospital because of her, and she doesn't even deign to show up. With such a character, who will ever want to deal with her? My mother replied icily. Whoever wants to deal with her can deal with her. My daughter is not obliged. Mrs. Davenport remained speechless. And don't call me in-law, my mother continued. Yesterday your son practically married Brooke. Call her mother. And she hung up. My mother put down the phone, trembling with rage. I approached and hugged her. She caressed my back. In the past, I always told you to endure, so as not to have problems after the wedding. Now I understand it's precisely by enduring that you get the worst problems. I felt a lump in my throat. Mom, forgive me. You don't have to apologize to anyone, she said. From now on, never belittle yourself for anyone again. In the afternoon, I went to the hospital anyway, not to apologize. The lawyer had advised me to. If Brooke continued to use her health problems to throw mud at me, we had to verify the veracity of her so-called illnesses. Ford accompanied me. In the hospital corridor, Liam was on guard outside the room. Seeing me, his look became complex, a mixture of relief and resentment for my delay. Finally, you decided to come. I'm here to gather evidence, I said. His face darkened. Claire, don't you have a heart? She suffered all night. I looked into the room. Brooke was in bed, face pale, an IV in her arm. Mrs. Davenport was feeding her broth. A scene of profound affection between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. If I didn't know that, the day before the same, Mrs. Davenport was saying Brooke was of humble origins and not worthy of entering their family. I entered. Brooke, seeing me, immediately burst into tears. Claire, don't take it out on Liam. It's my fault. I shouldn't have gotten sick. I shouldn't have worried everyone, I said in a neutral tone. Indeed, you shouldn't have. She froze. I took the medical chart at the foot of the bed. Acute gastritis. Liam frowned. The doctor said there's risk of hemorrhage. I looked at the chart. Risk, not current hemorrhage. Liam's face stiffened. Mrs. Davenport stood up. What do you want to insinuate? That Brooke is faking? I'm just looking at facts, I said. On the chart, it clearly writes acute gastritis. Observation advised. It is not the gastric hemorrhage Liam spoke of. On the phone, Brooke bit her lip. I didn't want Liam to worry. That's why I didn't say it was serious. I looked up, and who spoke of gastric hemorrhage then? Silence fell in the room. Liam's gaze wavered. It was obvious Brooke had led him to understand one thing over the phone, exaggerating the situation. I didn't insist. I took a photo of the medical chart. Mrs. Davenport tried to stop me. What are you photographing? Preserving evidence, I said. So no one can say I pushed her to a grave illness. Liam couldn't take it anymore. Claire, how did you become like this? I looked at him. Like what? His voice lowered. Before you weren't like this, I smiled. Before coming to visit you in the hospital, I would have asked if you had eaten. I would have booked a specialist for Brooke, organized a car for your mother, and you all would have thought it was my duty. I looked him in the eyes. Liam, I haven't changed. I've just stopped. He froze. Brooke suddenly brought her hands to her stomach, doubling over in pain. Liam, it hurts. He rushed to help her. A doctor! Call a doctor! The mother panicked. The room became chaos. I remained still. Ford asked me quietly, "Shall we go?" I nodded. As we were at the door, a young nurse ran in. Seeing me, she stopped. "Miss Sterling." I turned. The nurse lowered her voice. "Are you checking Brooke Rivers's chart?" I looked at her. "Do you know something?" She hesitated. Then she glanced at the chaos in the room. When she arrived this morning, she didn't have severe symptoms. She asked herself to be admitted for observation and brought a report from another clinic that said she had moderate depression and a history of gastric hemorrhages. But we can't find that protocol number in our system. I felt a chill. The protocol number, the nurse nodded. The format isn't correct. It seems fake, but I can't say for sure. It's better your lawyer makes a formal request. Why tell us? Asked Ford. The nurse bit her lip. I saw the wedding video yesterday. That ring was a truly cruel gesture. I remained silent for a few seconds. Thank you. She shook her head. Protect yourself. When we left the hospital, the sky was cloudy. I sent the photo of the medical chart to my lawyer and transcribed the nurse's words. Ford looked at me. Brooke might have falsified reports. It wouldn't be the first time she uses an illness to manipulate Liam, I said. 2 years before, just after our engagement, Brooke had returned suddenly to the States saying she had an anxiety attack. Liam left me alone at the end of the engagement party to go pick her up at the airport. That night, I entertained all the guests until the end, with a terrible stomach ache until dawn. Upon his return, he just said, Brooke isn't well. Try to understand. Then there were Brooke's allergies, insomnia, fainting spells, hypoglycemia. Every time it happened exactly coincidentally, with an important moment for Liam and me. Anniversary, the meeting between our parents, the wedding dress fitting, choosing the house. Before I thought they were coincidences. Now I see they were carefully chosen times. Halfway there, I received a photo on my phone. Unknown number. In the photo, Brooke was in bed in the hospital and Liam was blowing on the broth to cool it. The caption, "You might have stolen the title, but the person he takes care of is always me." I looked at that phrase and smiled. It was her again. Ford glanced over. Want me to trace the number? I shook my head. No need. I forwarded the photo directly to my lawyer, adding it to the evidence. Then I replied to Brooke. Nice photo. Remember to keep the original. No response from the other side for a long time. I could imagine her panic. In the evening, the lawyer called. Miss Sterling, we verified the protocol number of Brooke Rivers' external report. It is not compliant. The indicated clinic denies having issued it. And there are no corresponding records. I looked out the window. The rain finally began to fall. Can we prove forgery? It requires a formal request, but the direction is clear, he replied. Proceed, I said. After hanging up, Ford handed me a cup of hot water. I took it. Today you were very calm, he said. I lowered my gaze to the steam rising from the cup. It's not calm. It's that, finally, I know where to direct the pain. The wound Liam inflicted on me must not become a weapon I use against myself. It must become the blade with which I cut. Roltentis. I spent the morning canceling all automatic payments linked to the Davenport family. First, the monthly fee for old Mrs. Davenport's luxury senior living facility, $5,000 a month. At the beginning, Liam's mother said grandmother was a creature of habit and didn't want to stay in a normal facility, and that the family was short on liquidity, asking me to pay for 6 months. A year and a half had passed. Second, the condo fees for Liam's apartment. The apartment was in his name, but I had always taken care of it. Third, the prepaid card for Mrs. Davenport's high-end spa. Liam said a woman needs to take care of herself, and that once entered into the family it would be a way for me to demonstrate my filial affection. At the time, I believed him. Fourth, Brooke's psychotherapy sessions. Yes, I paid those too. Liam told me Brooke had just returned, was fragile, and couldn't interrupt therapy. He didn't have liquidity. He asked me to help him once. I helped him for 12 times. Looking at the cancellation notifications on the bank screen, I didn't cry. I felt only a sense of absurdity. Tara, sitting next to me, was increasingly angry. Claire, but before you were doing charity, I smiled. More or less. The last click was to revoke the personal guarantee authorization for a loan for Davenport Incorporated. The authorization wasn't effective yet. I was supposed to sign it after the wedding. Now I sent an email directly to the legal department of Sterling Holdings withdrawing any intention of guarantee. 3 minutes after sending the email, I received a response from my father. Only 2 words. Received. Dad supports you. I stared at that line for a long time, then continued gathering evidence. At 2 p.m., the first to call was Liam's mother. Claire, from Grandma's senior, living. They say the payment didn't go through. Did you stop it? Yes, I replied. How could you? She said incredulously. Grandma is so comfortable there. You want to force her to move? She has a son and a grandson. Why should I pay? I asked. But you always paid, she shouted. Before I was Liam's fiancé. Now not anymore. But now you're married to Ford. You are still a Davenport. I smiled. Then ask Ford to pay. She remained speechless for quite a while. I hung up. 5 minutes later, Liam called. I didn't answer. He sent me a message. Claire, why did you block the payments for Brooke's therapy? I looked at that message and couldn't help but burst out laughing. He didn't ask me about grandmother's fee, didn't ask me about the guarantee for the company. He asked me about Brooke's therapy. I replied, It means what you read. He called immediately. I answered. He was repressing anger. Brooke's therapy can't be interrupted. You know her situation is delicate. It's delicate, so you pay. I don't have liquidity at the moment. Then let her get a job. Claire Sterling, he snapped. When did you become so calculating? Since you started using my money to maintain your ex, I said. On the other end, sudden silence fell. Then Liam's voice lowered. Those monies, I'll return to you. Good. Wait for communication from my lawyer. Must you involve lawyers? He gritted his teeth. Must we really do accounts so? Precisely? I looked at the bank statements on the table. You were the one who taught me. He didn't understand. Every time you asked me to pay for Brooke, you said it was only a temporary loan, not to get strange ideas. If it was a loan, obviously, it must be returned. Liam remained speechless. Before hanging up, he asked suddenly, Do you live with Uncle? I frowned. It doesn't concern you. He laughed coldly. Claire Sterling, don't forget that in 2 years with me you never let me get close, and now you're in such a hurry to marry another. I felt a chill in my heart. It was the first time he spoke to me so unpleasantly. I activated recording. Repeat that. He seemed to realize something and fell silent immediately. I said calmly, Liam, it's better you remember that every word you say now could become evidence. I hung up, but my hands trembled slightly, not from pain but from disgust. In the evening, I returned to Ford's place. After the wedding, he had offered to me to stay in an apartment he owned on the Upper East Side. A classic pre-war, co-op, clean as a model home. The master bedroom for me. He slept in the study. At first, I had refused. But he said, Now, you are in the crosshairs of journalists and Liam. Living alone isn't safe. Here, there's good security. I accepted, but we established 3 rules. First, don't interfere in respective private lives. Second, completely separate finances. Third, if one of the two wanted to end the marriage, 1 month's notice. Ford, after listening, added just a 4th rule. In case of danger, don't face it alone. At the time, I said nothing. Now, rethinking it, I felt a little warmth. When I entered, Ford was in the kitchen preparing pasta. He turned off the stove. "Liam sought you out?" I nodded and let him hear the recording. Hearing the unpleasant sentence, Ford's gaze froze. He didn't curse. He just said, "Keep this part." I sat at the table. I always thought he was just superficial, immature. Ford put a plate of pasta in front of me. Superficiality doesn't always hurt. Only the same person. I froze. That sentence was like a needle piercing precisely the last bubble of self-deception. Right. Superficiality doesn't lean always, and only on Brooks' side. Immaturity doesn't require always and only me to be understanding. It's not that he doesn't know how to love. It's that he doesn't know how to love me. Finished eating, the lawyer sent me new investigation results. The hospital that allegedly issued Brooks' depression certificate denied ever having issued it. There were no records of gastric hemorrhages either. Brooke had indeed followed psychological therapy in the last year, but the center reported she had interrupted treatment several times, and that payments came from different accounts, most of which were mine. I read the documents and forwarded them to the lawyer to insert in the file. The lawyer replied, "Understood." Furthermore, a business partner of Davenport Incorporated contacted me today to ask if financial disputes between you and the Davenport family will influence the project. I frowned. Who contacted? The lawyer sent me a name, Julius Davis, head of the most important partner of Davenport Incorporated at the moment. I remembered that person. He was present at the wedding, seated in the third row. He had seen everything. Before I could reply, Julius Davis himself sent me an email. Miss Sterling, regarding the jewelry co-branding project recently presented by Davenport Incorporated, our company requires a re-evaluation. If possible, I would like to discuss with you separately the issue of copyright regarding the wedding ring design. I looked at the email, reflecting for a few seconds. "What is it?" asked Ford. "The Davenports want to use my design to negotiate a deal," I said. Ford's gaze hardened. I opened an old folder and indeed found a project draft from 6 months prior. Liam had asked me to help him create a concept for a co-branded jewelry line for the company. I hadn't asked for compensation. I had done it as a favor to my fiancé, and now the company presented it to a business partner. Suddenly I understood why the Davenports were in such a hurry for me to retract my statement. It wasn't just for shame. It was because that ring hid a much larger copyright infringement. I forwarded the email to my lawyer. Add design plagiarism, too. That night, Liam sent me another message. Claire, my mother says grandmother's nursing home fee was blocked. Grandma is very angry. I didn't reply. Another one. Brooke cried all afternoon. I didn't reply. Finally, a last message. Are you happy now? I looked at the screen and pressed the delete button delicately. I wasn't happy because they were doing badly. I was happy because finally, I wasn't doing badly for them anymore. Liam proved less resistant than I thought. The next morning, an artfully edited video appeared online. The title, High Society Bride Asks for Uncle's Hand at Her Own Wedding. A premeditated plan. The video cut the part where he called Brooke to the altar, the part where he put the ring on her. It left only the ring in her Everest, scene where I ripped off the veil and went toward Ford. The accompanying text was poisonous. The truly loved person transformed into a laughingstock. The bride who switches husband on wedding day. Who is the real traitor? Comments were immediately manipulated. There were those defining me calculating, Those saying Liam just had a bad temper, but I had been ruthless to marry an Entipotter, older relative. Someone investigated Ford's identity, saying that after discharge, he had become a loner and probably desired his nephew's fiancé for a long time. Tara slammed her hand on the table in anger. They are shameless. I wasn't surprised. Liam had always been like this. As long as things didn't degenerate, he acted superior. As soon as he lost control, he dumped blame on others. I called the venue director. Director, can you send me the original video of the wedding? The director, who had evidently seen the video online, was a bit nervous. Miss Sterling, it's all ready, including the main camera, side cameras, audio, and panoramic view of guests. Thank you. 10 minutes later, I received the complete files. I didn't publish them immediately. First, I sent them to the lawyer for verification. The lawyer replied, "You can publish parts relative to your rights, taking care to blur faces of uninvolved guests." At 3 p.m., the studio's account published the full video. It started from the .com moment of vows. Liam was seen letting go of my hand. Brooke, come up here. Brooke getting up with red eyes. Me asking Liam what it means, and him answering, "She just wants to witness our happiness. Don't be so petty." Then, Brooke going up to the altar saying, "Liam, don't do this," but extending her hand. And Liam taking the ring. Me stopping him. "That's my ring." And him laughing coldly, "Since you're not reasonable, then I'll marry Brooke." In the moment the ring slid onto Brooke's finger, overlaid comments exploded. The second part showed me listing wedding expenses, ripping off the veil, and going toward Ford. With the publication of the complete video, the previous montage became a joke. Public opinion flipped completely. But this is sick. Humiliating the bride at her own wedding. The ex says don't do this, but extends her hand faster than anyone. Go bride. I would have flipped the table too. Liam thinks the whole world must accommodate him. Ford's phrase, "Your fiancé, who is wearing the ring on her finger," is epic. Half an hour later, Brooke published a long post. It said she went only to offer her well wishes. Didn't think it would cause a misunderstanding, said she. And Liam knew each other since childhood, that after so many years of separation she had now overcome the past. Said Claire misunderstood her and hoped people wouldn't hurt anyone. Every word was weak. Every sentence insinuated. I was the aggressor. After reading it, I forwarded it to the lawyer. The lawyer replied with a single word. Wait. Wait for what? Luke. Who is he? He sent me a screenshot under Brooke's post where she said, I have now overcome the past. Someone had commented, Miss Rivers, if you overcame the past, why did you have Liam come to your house the night before the wedding with attached photo of the garage? Brooke hadn't replied. Shortly after, someone else dug up her secondary account. That account was full of posts about her obsession with Liam. He is about to marry, but I know the way he looks at me is still the same as before. Some people are suitable for marriage. Others are soulmates. His fiancée is very reasonable. But what use is being reasonable? Men always worry about those who aren't. These posts had been published in the last 2 years after my engagement to Liam. Users weren't stupid. Brooke's image collapsed rapidly. In the evening, Liam rushed to the studio. He was blocked by security downstairs. I saw him from the surveillance monitor. He looked up toward the cameras, face exhausted. The phone rang. Claire, come down. For anything, contact my lawyer, I said. His voice was choked. Did you publish the video? Don't you know this will destroy Brooke? I remained silent for a few seconds, then smiled. Liam, and you, up until now, worried about her? He froze for an instant. That's not what I meant. She has a fragile soul. Now, online, they are massacring her and I. He said nothing. I looked at his face on the monitor. When you edited the video to smear me, did you think you might destroy me? Liam looked up toward the camera, and for a moment his eyes showed an expression of bewilderment. I didn't edit it. And who was it? I asked. Silence. The answer was obvious. Brooke. But he kept covering for her. I hung up. 10 minutes later, Ford returned. He had a document in hand. Found it. The account that published the edited video first is linked to a friend of Brooke's. I took the document. A friend, after returning to the States, had signed with a small agency, wanted to become an influencer specialized in relationships. The echo chamber of the wedding was part of her plan. I looked up. Not only did she want to steal your man, said Ford, she wanted to use this wedding to become famous. I felt a wave of disgust. So my wedding, my humiliation, my ring were all part of her script to gain visibility, pretending to be fragile, nostalgic victim, to then package herself as the beloved ex of a wealthy family. The evidence is sufficient, I said with icy voice. Ford nodded. And there's another person who might know more. Who? Brooke's ex-boyfriend, Luke. At 9 p.m., Luke contacted me on his own initiative. His voice seemed exhausted. Miss Sterling, I know what Brooke did. I can give you the recordings of our On what conditions? I asked. He laughed bitterly. I don't want money. I just want her to stop making fun of me. The next day, I met Luke in a cafe. He gave me a USB drive. Inside here are her chats since she returned to the States. She said Liam was easy to manipulate, that you were too proper to make a public scene. My fingers tightened. Luke looked at me. She also said that on the wedding day, if she cried enough, Liam would side with her. I inserted the USB into the laptop. The screen lit up. The first chat pierced my eyes. Brooke. His fiancé is one who endures a lot. And those who endure a lot are most afraid of losing face. The second. Brooke. I don't want Liam's person. I want the stepping stone the person Davenport family can give me. The third. Brooke. That ring is beautiful. If I put it on my finger, she will go crazy. In the cafe, there was silence. I looked at those words, and suddenly anger vanished. Because that wasn't a question of feelings anymore. They were evidence. In Luke's drive weren't only chats, but also some voice messages. Brooke's voice was completely different from usual. No fragility, no tremor, just the cold lucidity of calculation. Liam is one who feels guilty easily. Years ago, I left him, and still today he thinks he wasn't able to protect me. Claire Sterling, her family is rich, and she is a proper person. She won't make a scene. And even if she did, the Davenports would silence her. If I could get up to the altar on the wedding day, crying would be enough. And he would hold my hand. The ring, I saw photos. It's stupendous. Pity that her initial is engraved inside, but it doesn't matter. In photos it won't show. I listened to messages one by one. Luke, opposite me, had a gloomy expression. We were together a year abroad. Before returning to the States, she told me once She obtained the Davenport's resources, she would come back for me. Only later I discovered she was keeping Liam on hold too. Why say it only now? I asked. He laughed bitterly. I didn't want to accept it either. She said it was just an act, that Liam was a stepping stone. I believed her until she posted the photo of the ring on Instagram saying fate returned what she missed. He lowered his head, stirring the coffee. Only then did I understand I was a stepping stone, too. I felt no compassion for him. Adults must take responsibility for their choices, but his evidence was useful. I asked my lawyer to verify the authenticity of Shah. Meanwhile, Brooke was still live online crying, saying she was a victim of cyberbullying, didn't dare leave the house anymore, that Claire was an aggressor, and Liam was just a good person who didn't deserve to be insulted. During the live stream, someone asked, "And things you wrote on your secondary account?" She, with red eyes, replied, "They were just thoughts written in moments of sadness. Don't mean I really wanted to ruin someone's relationship." Someone asked, "Did you know the ring was Claire's?" She lowered her head, crying. "I didn't know." "Really? You didn't know?" I watched the live stream and called lawyer. "Can we publish second declaration?" "No." "Yes," replied lawyer. 10 minutes later, law firm published formal communication proving 3 points. First, constant false insinuations published by Brooke Rivers on her secondary account against Claire Sterling. Second, Brooke Rivers chats with friends before wedding discussing how to get up to altar and exploit Davenport family. Resources have been authenticated. Third, Brooke Rivers presumably used fake medical reports to manipulate public opinion and elicit compassion. Law firm will request official verifications with competent institutions. Live stream became chaos. Brooke, reading comments, visibly paled, tried to maintain calm. "Don't know what talking about. It's all false." A moment later, Luke published post with real name. "Chats are true. USB provided by me. Ready to assume legal responsibility." And published short audio of Brooke. Liam is easy to manipulate. His fiancé even more. Live stream exploded. Brooke abruptly interrupted broadcast. Half an hour later, Liam showed up under my studio. This time brought no flowers. Seemed emptied out. Security stopped him again. He called me. Voice was hoarse. "Claire, those recordings. Did you already know?" I stood at window watching that familiar yet alien figure downstairs. "Just found out." He remained silent long time. "She deceived me." I didn't say anything. He seemed to have finally found way out and said urgently, "Claire, she deceived me. Told me she returned just to wish me happiness. Told me she wasn't well. Told me she had no one to rely on." I interrupted him. "Liam, fact that she deceived you doesn't erase harm you did. To me." On other end, silence. "You are adult," I continued. Could feel compassion for her tears. "But bringing her to your wedding, having her come up to altar and putting my ring on her finger was your choice." His breathing was labored. "Wanted only you to lower head. Didn't really want to leave you." That sentence made freeze last shred of tenderness in my heart. "So, admit did it on purpose?" He froze. "I was recording, and he didn't know. Deliberately humiliated me at my wedding. Deliberately used Brooke to force me to lower head. Deliberately put ring on her to make me understand who counted. More for you," said quickly. "No. I wanted only." "Wanted only what?" "Felt you were too strong," said quietly. "Always so calm. Organize everything as if could do without me." Brooke is different. She needs me. Closed eyes. Here, answer. Fact that I knew how to handle problems was defect. Fact that didn't cry and make scenes was defect. Fact that solved Davenport, family messes was defect. Because was too strong and therefore deserved to be abandoned. Liam, I said, in future, will no longer be so strong to love you. Claire, didn't mean this. Entered panic. You. I looked at him from below, only thought I wouldn't have really gone away. Liam raised head. Through dozens of floors seemed to see me. Voice trembled. Come down. Must see each other. Have something to say. Not necessary. Claire, for anything, contact lawyer. Hung up. But he didn't. Leave. Remained there from afternoon until evening. Started raining. Remained. Under rain as if to act scene of late repentance. Tara looked at monitor and frowned. Claire isn't trying to use pity card? Let him do, I said. Call police. Wait 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, Brooke arrived with mask and hat. Rushed to Liam. Took his hand. Liam, listen to me. Those recordings aren't like you think. Liam freed himself from her grip. First time saw him so cold with her. Said him easy to manipulate? Asked. Brooke burst into tears. Were just words dictated by anger. Luke hates me. Edited them purpose to frame me. Said Claire wouldn't make scene because afraid losing face? No. Said wanted use. Davenport resources. Brooke's face became white as wax. Rain-bathed hair. Suddenly knelt down. Liam loved you really. Only had too much fear. Fear that, after wedding, would abandon me forever. For this did wrong. Liam looked at her. In eyes pain but also disgust. In past would have helped her. Rise. This time no. I behind window watched calm. Tara asked quietly. Are sad? Shook head. No. Find only everything ridiculous. Transformed my wedding into heap rubble. And now, on those rubble act farce of sincerity and deception. But doesn't concern me anymore. Finally security called police. Liam and Brooke. Removed. Leaving. Liam raised look again toward studio. Didn't hide, nor come. Down. Evening lawyer prepared transcription recording, including Liam's sentence, wanted only you to lower head. That sentence would become crucial in defamation trial. Because proved humiliation at wedding wasn't misunderstanding, but deliberate act. 3 evenings later, Liam was kneeling before my studio. Raining hard. Just finished with client was about close. Shudder halfway when heard Tara, exclamation. Claire. Looked up. Liam kneeling on steps, suit-soaked hair glued, forehead face gray. Handheld box. Recognized it. Box of ring, worn by Brooke. Remained inside without exiting. Liam raised look eyes frighteningly red. Claire recovered ring. Was already mine, I said. Those words wounded him. No. Opened box. Ring. Lay black velvet, still brilliant. But didn't have desire wear it anymore. Liam. Voice broken. Had cleaned again. No trace Brooke touch. Looked at him. Certain traces can't be washed away. Hand trembled. Rain dripped along edges ring. Hurried protect box. As if protect. Last hope. Claire understood really wrong. I and Brooke closed. Deceived me. Used me. We'll never see again. And if hadn't deceived you? Asked. Froze. Approached door. If had loved you, really. If had been really sick. If hadn't been able live without you. Would, still thought I wasn't reasonable? Lips moved but couldn't answer. Smiled. So, haven't understood wrong. Just discovered Brooke wasn't worth it. Light in Liam, eyes extinguished little, made step kneeling. No Claire, these days thought much, thought how good were to me. Organized mother birthday, party, accompanied father hospital, paid grandmother, nursing home fee, and time had stomachache. Came middle night. Bring medicines. Stop it, interrupted. Don't use my sacrifices, move yourself. Stiffened. Those things when didn't appreciate them. Said. Now, remember only because, no longer anyone who does them for you. Liam tears started falling. First time, saw cry. Thought one like him never cried. Now understood, did only before, wasn't. Worth cry for me. Claire, start over please. Said voice low, almost imperceptible. Redo wedding. Buy new ring. Can punish like want. Your marriage with uncle. No, not true. Looked at him. What makes think not true? Raised head abruptly. Don't love him. This doesn't mean I love you still. Face became white cloth. Rain fell ever harder. Ford's car parked along road. Didn't get out. Remained seated driving, looking distance. Didn't intrude. Didn't answer for me. And went good so. That was, end had right myself. Returned inside, took paper bag. Inside things, Liam given. Engagement bracelet, anniversary cards, some photos together, spare key apartment, kept. Put bag front him. This yours. Liam didn't take. Don't want. Then throw. Hurried grab bag as if want. Hold. Unrecoverable past. Took another document. This account wedding expenses. Lawyer already sent family. If don't present objections within 3 days, proceed legally. Looked document gaze full pain. Now when see talk only money, lawyers. Otherwise, said, what should talk about? How humiliated at wedding? How used money pay Brooke therapy? Or how edited video accused treason? Remained speechless, squatted his level. Liam, most odious thing about you, not that loved Brooke, still, is that while loving, wanted still marry me, wanted resources. Sterling, family wanted my stability, wanted took care family, and wanted accepted that in heart would always been poor white moonlight, wanted everything. But why should? Have? Liam tears shattered ground. Thought after wedding things settle. Said. Shook. Head. Thought after wedding wouldn't could go away anymore. That sentence. Blocked completely because had told truth. Day before wedding had told friend. Claire cares much appearances once married won't make stories. Also this. Sentence was documents provided Luke. Stood up. Don't come here anymore. Next time, call police. Liam raised head. Looking. Claire don't love anymore. Even bit. Remained silent few seconds. In. Past question. Would made suffer much. Now. No. Loved. Said. In eyes lit faint. Light. For this now feel disgust. Concluded. That light. Extinguished. Completely. Closed door. Shutter lowered slowly. Last crack saw Liam still, kneeling dog beaten under rain, but felt no pity. Shutter closed clack. Old. World closed outside. When turned forward already inside. Didn't know when entered. Had dry towel hand. Dry hair. Took. Heard everything? Yes. Felt bit embarrassed. He Instead, said, spoke very well, smiled. Don't seem ruthless? No lucid. Handed. Document. Next week, Davenport Board Directors. Project Liam responsible. Suspended partner cause copyright violation risk image. Probably. Download blame. On you. Open document. Indeed, inside company circulated already rumors. Claire Sterling. Revenge. Sabotaged collaboration. Ford obtained control company using me hit Liam. Close document. Really? Never learn. What think do? Asked Ford. Looked out. Window. Rain Liam finally helped get on car by family chauffeur. Must not make. Board directors? Put document bag. Then, do great gift. Party. Anniversary. Davenport Incorporated location. Same hotel where wedding canceled. Clearly Davenport's. Wanted. Use facade. Eventberry scandal days preceding. Red carpet. Many journalists. Invited. Mrs. Davenport. High fashion dress. Smiled radiantly. Father. Next to. Conversed business partners. Was also Liam very thinned. Seeing me arrive Ford. Face changed instantly. Brooke wasn't there. Said agency fired clinic officially. Denied validity reports. Even if didn't arrive criminal complaint enough. Destroy. Reputation. Online. Now busy cancel. Accounts no longer time act part X loved. Liam mother seeing stiffened. Claire who invited? Showed invitation. Mr. Davis. Mrs. Davenport face changed. Julius Davis came out smiling, shaking hand. Miss Sterling, thanks coming. Regarding design co-branding line today, day make, clarity. Liam father approached immediately. Mr. Davis today, anniversary party, details collaboration talk another day. Julius Davis smiled, eyes cold. Mr. Davenport here precisely details collaboration. In hall, large screen projected, promotional video company. Liam quality project manager went up stage speech. Said Davenport Incorporated values originality partners. Family responsibility. I below, almost burst out laughing. Originality said by him pure irony. After speech, Liam, father announced. Subsequently, carry forward jewelry co-branding project with Davis Group. Project led our director Liam Davenport embodies passion new, generation company. Applause. Triggered. Liam. Under lights continued stare, as if, expect repent. I didn't move. Julius Davis took suddenly microphone. Mr. Davenport, before sign letter intent, would like clarify thing. Father's smile froze slightly. Please, Mr. Davis. Julius Davis turned me. Miss Sterling would like ask. Design main ring projected. Large screen your creation. Everyone turned look screen. Video stopped image. Ring. Was precisely draft shown Liam 6 months prior. Had modified lines. Changed name. But main structure, recognizable glance. Went up stage. Pulled folder. Documents bag. Hall plunged silence. Liam white cloth. Liam father tried. Intervene. Claire might be misunderstanding. At time you Liam engaged. Normal. Exchange design inspirations. Looked him. Exchange inspirations doesn't equate. Grant license. Handed documents staff. Please project screen. Changed image. First, my original sketch date clearly visible. Second email sent Liam where, wrote only your reference, not commercial use. Third, Liam response. Understood. Stay tranquil. Fourth, project document. Presented Davenport Inc. to Julius Davis. Main design almost identical. In hall rows murmur comments. Julius Davis' face became icy. Mr. Davenport, this would be your originality? Liam father started, sweating. This Liam explain. Liam's stage seemed received slap. Looked me voice. Hoarse Claire. At time thought would marry. So interrupted. Thought my things were automatically yours? Tack, just as thought wedding could serve console, Brooke continued. That my ring could be put her finger, my money could maintain. Family, my patience gave. Right dispose me pleasure, looked audience. Today, limit. Present facts. Screen changed again. List. Wedding expenses. Loan agreement. Davenport family transfers Brooke therapy full video wedding day highlights its sicked. Recording. Wanted only you lower head. When sentence resounded hall last shred. Color vanished. Liam face. Mother shrieked. Turn off. Who gave permission transmit this? Nobody moved. Because technical control, hands Julius Davis staff, was also old Mrs. Davenport wheelchair, trembling rage. Claire Sterling. Want. Destroy. Davenport family? Looked her. Only taking back mine. Already married Ford. Yelled. Why pursue? Still. Liam. What figure make? Finally, Ford went upstage. Didn't put front me side half step back. Grandmother Claire, not pursuing Liam, is Davenport family continues, not return debts. Admit errors. Stop violating. Others' rights. Old lady froze. Didn't expect Ford call grandmother occasion. Like that even less side publicly part. Liam father agitated. Ford. Also part. Family. Can't stand watch while stranger does this. Ford looked him. Precisely. This wanted talk today. Took another document. My quota property family villa. Shares grandfather left manage independent way. Won't answer anymore. Any debt? Project family dispute. Davenport Incorporated Liam. Father paled what means. Means, said. Ford voice calm, henceforth don't use any more name guarantee. From audience rose. Murmur. So Davenport Incorporated held part because took granted Ford would cover losses. After all property villa part original shares. Now dissociated publicly last. Facade. Respectability. Davenport's collapsed. Julius Davis announced spot. Suspension. Every collaboration Davenport Incorporated. For issue copyright violation. Reserve right act legally. That sentence coup de grace. Liam father staggered. Clinging table. Mother rush stage. Pointing finger against screaming all fault. If wasn't you Davenport, family wouldn't be situation. Didn't retreat if wasn't me. Now, would already signed contract using design used money tap holes gave me. Blame not reasonable, tried. Pounce. Security blocked. Finally, Liam moved, approached. Eyes terribly red. Claire had go really like this. Looked him, asked many times. Wedding must really do mess. Studio must really sue. Villa must really do accounts. Precisely now had go really like this. Finally gave complete answer because every time. I did step back. You made one forward. I don't retreat anymore. Tears streaked. Liam face so finished really between us. Finished day wedding, said Lights Hall, blinding. Everyone looked humiliated once left alone. Altar. Suffer. Judgment all. Now touched him. Stage scene for what wasn't revenge circle. Finally closed. After anniversary party, things resolved faster thought with suspension. Collaboration. Julius Davis. Other partners pulled back inside. Company someone had. Assume responsibility. Liam removed assignment. Project manager, father placate. Board directors declared publicly supervision. Superficial project materials. Willing collaborate investigations facade. Declaration actually dumped blame Liam. He always thought, air designated protected all discovered damage caused, exceeded value. Family first abandoned him. Even Brooke things didn't go better. Falsification reports didn't lead serious criminal consequences. Competent, institutions published. Official denial accounts, blocked platforms, agency, rescinded contract. Sent some apology messages first. Miss Sterling no wrong. Second, can apologize publicly, could withdraw complaint. Third, already won. Why? Can't leave peace? Didn't reply none. Lawyer replied. Please communicate through legal channels regarding debts. Davenport's. Wedding expenses. After mediation, accepted finally pay installments. Day arrived first. Installment remained long. Look. Account statement. Studio. Not money, but because transfer reason restitution. Wedding expenses. Word wedding. Finally didn't seem stab Claire. Okay. Really asked. Tara thought still hurts. Bit doesn't prevent walking. Smiled. Eyes shiny. Then okay. Pulled again. Wedding ring remained sealed. Envelope evidence diamond still clear. Looking. Felt. Foreign. Didn't sell. Made melt. Put showcase bottom studio small. Label next. Exemplar. Wrong. Tara, seeing burst laughing. Aren't bit too nasty, no. Said. Reminds. Before design ring look well. Person, when Ford came pick saw ring. Stopped. Front showcase bit, managed let go. Isn't let go, said put, place eyes. Slight smile. Like definition think too picky asked Ford turned look army saying. Lose border once. Then takes 10 times effort. Regain. Blocked. You aren't picky, said, regaining border. Felt slight warmth chest evening. Didn't return city. Apartment Ford took C there. Small white chapel wasn't location weddings, old. Abandoned observation point. Friend transformed private refuge. Sea wind strong. Threshold looked simple wooden benches. Warm lights inside Ford. Pulled box trunk. Inside veil. Given day. Wedding conserved. Now clean pearl edges resewn extended. Hand touch. Thought dirty washed. Said what happened. Day remains then give new. Meaning looked. Ford pulled another ring. Simple band smooth inside. Engraved too. Letters name mine. E-N-O-U-G-H. Enough so remain speechless. Said after day. Had understand. Direct pain. Explained. Ring doesn't represent possession anyone. Represents only fact. Henceforth. Someone remind. When hurts. Must say enough. Felt. Lump throat. Marriage started absurd. Wayflowers, blessings surrounded gossip. Entire city. But Ford never asked love immediately. Just put side more times. Restoring right choose. Took ring. Wear immediately. Ford might not yet able give. Passionate love. No. Said. Won't deliver you. Just helped. Right. Looked. Smiled. Want. Continue. Looked seriously. Claire Sterling decided moment. Accepted. Veil. Sea. Wind. Disheveled shirt. Lowered look slipped ring. Wasn't someone tying was choosing few. Days later, Liam asked last meeting place. Front condominium should lived, went. Weakness. Things meant, said person stood under tree lean. Seem another person. Seeing new ring hand gaze, filled pain. Treats well, treat well bad, doesn't concern. Said laughed bitterly. Became really ruthless. Speak looked calm, spoke sweetness. Didn't appreciate. Remained silent. Long Claire dream often wedding day didn't. Reply dream continued. Don't call Brooke altar put ring Mary normally smile once. Eyes reddened. Only wake. Remember gone. Liam can't change reality dreams. Said, lowered head day. Hadn't wrong. Wasn't day. Interrupted. Raised. Look all days last. 2 years. Said. Every time asked. Wait. Yield. Fix things. Brooke put aside feelings. Business pushing away. Marriage wasn't beginning last straw. Liam tears started. Falling lost. Really whispered word seemed destroy, didn't console, didn't attack. Who just handed last document. Copy mediation. Agreement. Pay installments. Time don't. Contact anymore. Took document hands trembling. Claire wish, happy looked wish. Learn. Respect. Others said turned left. Didn't chase this time. Finally understood. Doors once closed. Reopen. Crying. 6 months studio. Transferred new location large. Bright inauguration. Invited parents, friends, old clients, none. Davenport family. And Ford simple white shirt helped fix last bunch. Flowers. Windowsill. Mother asked. Quiet. Happy now looked. Window sun. Illuminated showcases. Sketches new rings. Scattered table veil. Sealed glass case corner. Commemorate failed marriage. Remember day? Bravest, yes. Happy, said mother. Smiled, tear eyes finished small. Ceremony. Ford handed glass warm water. Congratulations, Miss Sterling took thanks. Mr. Davenport arched eyebrow. Mr. Davenport thought how should call leaned moving. Lock hair. Wind disheveled behind ear. Gesture, light, think, calm, smiled. Time didn't. Move away.